I will just make sure that a certain recently updated device isn't in the room with me before I start this. No, I'm safe. The UK was apparently warmer than Death Valley at some points this week, according to Alexa, with many businesses and schools closed for safety reasons. The RSPB also postponed the Wonder, Loss and Action lobby at Westminster because of the red heat warning, which is an awful thing because all those in power have done for wildlife over the last 20 years or so is to screw it up by destroying green spaces to make room for housing and more shops to sell vapes and mobility scooters. Link in the notes. I'm sorry, that was quite political and rebellious, wasn't it? Oh well, it's a rare thing and it's true. Also, that's closer to the truth than a certain president's beliefs in North Sea oil, which is much more complicated than he thinks it is, because we will not bomb other countries in Europe to get back the higher share that we did have up until the mid-90s. I better stop there or I'll be creating rebels like us, not pods like us. Anyway, I'm Martin Quibell, known to my friends as Marv, and this is Pods Like Us Chronicles. Sunday, the 21st of June 2026. I finally listened to the latest episode of Neil Velio's show Podmastery, and it was interesting because now I'm going to admit that I was sort of wrong because I didn't realise that the metrics were worked out the way that he explained, if I'm being honest. That is embarrassing, considering that I want to be somebody to help people in the world of podcasting and to earn money from it by showing people and teaching people, when I wasn't aware that previously the minimum listening time to go down as a play was a minute, and is now 30 seconds. Technically, that means that people will probably be paid more if it's a monetized podcast based on advertisements, and that's how that metric is worked, technically. It is for me. But at the same time, another 30 seconds, that's not too bad, really, is it? Expect people to listen to that a little bit more, to give it a minute. But to be honest, I think that I would prefer, in fact, I know that I would prefer people to listen to an entire episode, or the majority thereof. I still have an issue with the chaptering with episodes, because then with shows like this, the Chronicles episodes, if somebody only wants to listen to one segment of a show, and people are saying that they think a listen should be between 70 and 80% of a show, if someone's only going to listen to one segment of a Chronicles episode because nothing else in it interests them, then quite frankly, I'm not going to get paid. But they've got something out of the show through that segment or two segments that they've listened to that I haven't been paid for. So haven't I still provided them with what they wanted? And how does that work out? It's a difficult one, and it's a problem that I don't think is going to go away very quickly. Continuing the thread from last week where I spoke about being inspired by the posts that Robert Fripp of King Crimson posted up onto Substack, on Tuesday he posted a great bit of wisdom. He simply said, "If you wish to know, breathe the air around someone who knows." I think that this is another gem that makes complete sense. If you want to know about something, then find out from someone who knows. I will be mentioning this again for those who read the Podbites newsletter this coming Tuesday, but the analogy about music will remain there even if I'm not mentioning it here. If you do in fact read that and feel like doing so, you could even post a response to the newsletter explaining what was different here in this Chronicles episode. It's the multiverse of pods like us and Marv. Quite honestly, for the podcast side of all of this, it is that you shouldn't be worried as a podcaster about asking others for advice on anything. If you don't know how to do something that you want to do, then just ask somebody that you think will know the answer to it. And in fact, they might even have an idea that's different to that suits you better. Who knows? On Wednesday, I saw a post that Dave Campbell had posted the evening before, where he was suggesting that we approach recording talk-based shows differently. Instead of looking at them as interviews, he suggested that we stop seeing our guest on the shows as strangers, but instead look at them as a listener. After all, to paraphrase Dave, they know who you are already, and they know the tone to expect because they have listened. While for this coming Tuesday's Podbites newsletter, I wrote about this post in more detail, where you will read about examples in my first initial week or so of recording for Pods Like Us back in the latter half of 2020. Shout out to Robbie from Out of the Blank and Sean O'Connell now of Comic Book Resources, and then from Real Blend and Cinema Blend. They are the two examples given, which I will now need to find links out for to link to in the notes for this. Oh well, as if I didn't have enough to do already. Going back to the main subject though, which I didn't do in my notes and now I'm going to have to make up, Dave is right basically. To make it more comfortable, we need to start seeing guests on shows as friends and listeners. That way, it makes it easier to have a conversation with them and for them to have a conversation with us because they know us already. This goes in line with my suggestion that when you do a show based like that, in my opinion, you should, or you could, start the session earlier, allowing time to get comfortable with each other before the actual showtime starts. On Wednesday, John McDermott's superb newsletter entitled Media Thoughts came out, with the opening of it looking at the fact that the audiobook of Odyssey by Homer is apparently going to be read by an AI version of Michael Cain's voice, which understandably has caused quite an uproar, no doubt. I can see that it is potentially taking away work from other actors, but there is always the possibility, I suppose, that the real-life Mr. Cain has given his blessing after probably being asked to do so, and unable to do it himself for health reasons or some other reason. Now, I have said what I've just said as a go-between, offering a different take on what most people are probably saying and opening it up to the fact that there is a possible good thing to this where it's been authorised and Mr. Cain would have liked to have done it but could not. Anyway, there was a lot more in John's newsletter, with the standout being his suggestions of shows to listen to. But I'm just going to say, get onto Substack at the link given in the notes and subscribe. Oh, and enjoy. Friday, the 26th of June 2026. I was supposed to re-record with Tobaloba Suleiman about the Otrons software that does transcription for African languages. because obviously it wasn't very well recorded the previous time because he was in a bad area and the signal was garbled, and quite frankly, I should never have put that out in the first place because it was of such bad quality. He didn't show up for the meet online, remote, but despite that, I still did a few things. I put up a pre-edit version of my chat with Helen and Hannah about Harry's home. So many H's in there for somebody who can't pronounce H's very well, which is the audio drama about a man with Alzheimer's. So that went up on Patreon basically 2 weeks early. Was that actually Friday? Maybe. I can't remember. Actually, it might have been a day or so before. Also, I've started to get a hold of the transcriptions for different episodes, and I'm reorganizing them into articles that are going up onto Substack and to Patreon to make it for people who want to read items or articles, particularly people who are deaf and can't follow a podcast, for instance. It might be useful to those, especially with items like the one that went out, which was my quick discussion the other week with Andrea Cascai about Eurowaves now having a dedicated website, which I thought it was a good start for this sort of thing. So the discussion has been tweaked a little bit because the transcription was not great, but also tidied up little bits here and there where things were repeated and just cleaned it up a little bit to make an article out of it. Also, at the same time, I've started on the interview that I did with Sam Sethi from November 2025, with the possibility of doing that, but that's going to be a long and drawn-out thing because the discussion with Andrea was 5 minutes or 6 minutes, whereas the discussion with Sam was for about an hour, so the logistics are slightly different. I've also got the discussions that I had with some other people as well that I will be looking at, but because they are all long, it will take a long time, obviously, to sort those out. What else did I do? Edited more for Toppermost, the Poppermost. While I'm trying to edit multiple shows at the same time, it's strange because really, I suppose the better way to do it would be to do one show at a time, but I'm sort of getting fed up with doing the same show editing-wise. But I think it's the whole thing of having 20 episodes or something to edit all together that is daunting and giving me some difficulty, to be honest. So with that, I wish all of you podders the best. Pods Like Us is available anywhere that podcasts can be found, and all of the links to the social media and email are available on the opening page of themarvzone.org. The show is distributed and sponsored by rss.com, and we thank them for their support. Please rate and review the show on the platform that you are listening or viewing the episode on. All feedback is gratefully received, as it helps to know if there is anything that needs to be looked at. Thank you for listening, and I hope you listen again to another episode of Pods Like Us Chronicles.